Yeah. I was gonna say we should record the whole episode like this, but then no one would understand a single fucking thing.
Yeah.
That probably I'm saying in general, but this would just make it harder.
Welcome. I'll talk through the eye hole. Welcome to B-Stars Season 3. Wait, no. Welcome to Screen Weens, episode 114. We're talking about Halloween. It's Thomas.
What?
Ta-da!
I thought it was Pierre under here the whole time.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't wear a mask.
He wouldn't. Just like Michael Myers shouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah. You should just, I don't know, be a normal-looking person the whole time. No, but...
I mean, I kind of agree. At least after a certain point. I think, like...
I mean, okay. I like the mask, but
I like the mask in 1. And I guess the new one.
Well, yeah. Pretty much all the sequel masks don't live up to the mask of the first movie. The only one that even comes close is... I guess it's subjective, but is like Halloween 18's mask, I think, is pretty good.
Yeah, I think it looks like, cool, they found this and then it was sitting in a trunk for 40 years.
Yeah.
Like, that looks at least naturally progressing. The rest just look like, that's just not the same mask.
I will give credit where it's due. I like the mask in Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's pretty much like the same kind of effect that they do in 40, where it's just like a degraded version, but that one is probably like the best looking mask. Yeah, it's got like berries.
Thomas got us winter spiced cranberry Sprite.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff, I guess. This mask
is very comfortable.
I don't know what they were doing with the layering of the hair. I almost wish it was just the, like...
Where'd you get that?
Party City.
How much was it?
Way too much.
Like $40?
A little higher.
More than 40?
Yeah. But, you know, I did it for the 2-second meme at the start of this video.
Well, then you'll wear it.
I'll go wear it to the movie, and they'll be like, "Sir, we can't allow you in here without a mask, but not that kind of mask.
You'll be like, I'm wearing one too.
Yeah, I'll just wear it underneath this one, and then they'll be like, we need to see your face, so if you do it...
And then you'll wear it as a hat.
I might. I don't even know if this would work as a hat.
Perfect.
Yeah. Wait. No. My head's large, but too small to use the mouth as an eye hole. Yeah, so it's been a bit. Thomas was gone. I was on.
We had an extra episode, so how was your thing?
It was a trip to Colorado, and I'm gonna leave it there.
Cool.
Yes. But yeah, I watched most of the Halloween movies while I was away on that. I watched like the Thorn trilogy. I guess I only watched the Thorn
4, 5,
trilogy.
6?
Yeah, while I was away. And then I was like, alright, so I got back and I watched the rest of them. Including the producer's cut, which I didn't have on me while I was on the trip.
only watched the producer's cut.
Yeah, I mean, aside from like the last 5 minutes, you're really not missing much. Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, I'm like, is this the better cut?
No. I'd say the theatrical cut is the better cut, but that's not the one with the dumb ending. So...
I guess you'll have to tell me what the fuck happens at the end of...
Yeah, I'll get into the differences between the two.
Oh, fuck. Oof. There were some rough ones.
Oh, yeah. No, I'd say...
Most of them.
I mean... I'd probably go out on one. I rewatch these movies so often just out of, like, habit that I've gaslit myself into liking...
These are all incredible.
No, I'm much more self-aware than that. I can enjoy something, but I can also acknowledge that it's absolute fucking shit. Like... Well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
But, did you... It's been 2 weeks. Have you done anything else?
I started playing Ghost of Tsushima, which, real good. If you like Kurosawa, you'll probably almost definitely like that game.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard good things. I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online, though, instead.
Oh,
And the
nice.
new Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
I thought I gave that one a gander, and I was like, maybe, but I haven't committed to it yet.
It's pretty fun. It's Smash Brothers, but with Cat Dog.
Oh, Cat Dog's in.
Yeah, Cat Dog's incredible, too. He's very fun to play.
Well,
Or they're very fun to play. I guess there's two of them.
man, I haven't watched Cat Dog in a long time. I really like that show.
I've seen
as a
like
kid.
3 episodes of Cat Dog.
I used
but
to
I like
watch
Cat
that
Dog.
one all the time, and they like took it off syndication along with like Angry Beavers and shit, and it's like, that.
The whole lineup of that game is very weird because they have SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. They don't have Squidward or Mr. Krabs yet. They're planning to add more characters.
Oh, okay. Do they have the breadwinners? How about Fanboy and Chum Chum?
No, they do have Powdered Toast Man
I don't know.
from Ren and Stimpy, as well as Ren and Stimpy. They don't have Hey Arnold, but they have Helga.
I'm honestly surprised they decided to go with Ren and Stimpy.
Me too.
For, as a concept of themselves, I don't mind Ren and Stimpy. Like, I think that they've got some funny stuff. But, like, the deep-rooted context of just, like, Ren and Stimpy and their creator and, like... Yeah, it just... I probably would have been like, Rugrats and SpongeBob. That's as far back as the Nick chain goes.
They have... the only Rugrats character they have is Reptar. Which
they don't have Stu Pickles, the genius.
They have Nigel Thornberry.
Oh, well, of course.
Yeah,
Did Tim Curry do any of them?
They don't have any voice acting in the game.
What?
Which I'm on 2 sides about. Like, I think there should be, at the very least, some intro dialogue or something. But the game is so fast-paced that if there was, like, voices tied to moves, it'd be so fucking annoying. Because you're just constantly going. It's, like, too fast.
Oh, okay.
But I think there should be, like, static voice.
There should be some grunts or something like that.
Yeah. It's very weird. The game's like unfinished, but it's fun, and they're planning on doing a bunch of stuff. So I'm like, whatever.
Well, we'll see. I've seen many a game that's come out half baked and been like, well, we got more coming. And then just
we'll see.
Does.
We'll see. I also bought a Wii.
Oh, like a classic Wii?
Yeah,
nice.
I wanted to play Wii Sports, so we played Wii Sports.
I hope it was worth it.
And I bought Rock Band, and I bought a guitar on eBay that should be here in 2 days, and a drum set.
I might have a couple Wii games, but I don't really have a Wii.
Our Wii makes a really loud whirring noise when a disc is in. My classic.
Nice.
But I got it for $10 cheaper, so... yeah, and then other than that...
I know I got Banana Blitz for Wii, but no one really likes that game. It has the motion controls.
Oh, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz? I remember
That's
liking it okay.
Yeah,
it's just like really different.
That's the one that they not just did, because the one they just did is like a different one, but
they just like did a re-release on Switch though, right?
Yeah, so like a year ago, 2 years ago, however long it was, they like ported Banana Blitz to all the new consoles. And then just like this month they did like we're throwing it back to the style of the first 2 games, and so many fans want them. And I was like, yes. And then they fucked up because monkey targets all weird and not like it was. And it's just like, that's literally the one thing that is like what I was broken up about. And it's like, great. So I hope they patch that, because there's been a pretty loud...
Fix it, you motherfucker!
I don't know if it's been allowed, like, because there have been some people that are like, oh no, I figured it out. It's really subtle. But it's like, that's not what I want. I want the old controls. Or at least an option, you know? But I don't know. I don't know why they decided to change it. But they did. And it's like, god damn. But yeah.
I haven't watched a whole lot of stuff lately. Obviously, we had a lot of stuff to watch. We had fucking 9 movies to watch for this.
Yeah.
Right, 9? Yeah. But I did watch... I had talked about watching, I think, Squid Game, the last episode.
Yes.
I finished Squid Game. Pretty good. I think the ending's rushed. I think the last episode could have been. Yeah. I just don't really like the last episode that much, but in general, I really enjoyed it.
I'm excited to watch it. I was gonna finish Kingdom at this duration of time since my trip, but I just didn't have the time for it. So I plan on finishing Kingdom, and then once I finish Kingdom, I plan on watching.
And then is Kingdom done? Is it done?
I don't know.
Okay, I know there's a movie as well. Is that? I
don't know if it's the same Kingdom because like there's a bunch of different stuff called Kingdom. Like Kingdom also is like a popular manga that's got nothing to do with like the Korean series, and I think there's also a different like Japanese Kingdom.
I'm pretty sure there is a Kingdom movie on Netflix that's like takes place after season 2.
Okay, I'll have to look into that because I know that season 2 was just released not very long ago.
Or maybe it was after season 1. I don't know. Or maybe I'm lying. But so I finished Squid Game, and I also watched Midnight Mass, which is the new Mike Flanagan miniseries.
I've heard a lot of people talking that one up.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan, I'm really, I'm becoming more and more impressed with him. I know in the past we've talked about it, and I've been really disappointed and stuff, and it's like he's really, all the stuff that I've had problems with, he's really, fixing. Like Bly Manor, I still didn't love, but it fixed the problem of me not liking his endings or his third acts, because I loved the third act of that. I just didn't like the stuff before. But Dr. Sleep I loved, and Midnight Mass in general I thought was fantastic. I
wonder, because I wonder how much of it is actually him versus the content that he's adapting.
Well, I mean, in general, from what I know, Haunting of Hill House is pretty different. And so is Bly Manor, from what I know. I haven't read either of the original sources, but from what I can tell and from what I've read on them, it seems they're pretty different. But maybe that helps because I think Midnight Mass is just his own original.
I've heard a lot of people saying it's really comparable to Salem's Lot. Is it about vampires? I literally, aside from having...
I'm not going to tell you anything.
Okay. I know that it's got the guy from The Old Adventures of New Christine in it. Which...
I don't know what that is.
The
Old Adventures of New Christine.
No, The New Adventures of Old Christine. So, it's a TV show that stars, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And I guess she's in this friend group with, her ex-husband who married a woman who is also named Christine.
Oh, so yeah, it does have that guy. He also is the assistant in the original, or in the 2000s Fantastic Four movie. To Doctor Doom. Yeah, that's what I recognized him from. I'm yo, it's Doctor Doom's assistant!
I haven't watched that movie in so long. The only, cast member like that I remember being in it is, Andrea from The Walking Dead. She plays, the famous husband in it. Which is really interesting. I don't know. I haven't watched this movie since probably around the time that it came out.
That guy though, he's really, really good at Midnight Mass.
Okay, he's kind of plays like a straight man comedic role in that show, and I don't really watch that show. I just I'll come home at night and it'll be on when I'm getting home from work. 'Cause my parents leave the TV on for the dog, and I'll get sucked into maybe half an episode, and I'll be
this is a classic show.
There's some bits of it that I'm oh, this is funny.
You should watch all 5 seasons for
No, because there have definitely been some other bits where I'm this is not funny. This is kind of cringe. So it seems to kind of
based.
It goes back and forth over the line. So it's enjoyable for same with King of Queens. I'll catch bits and pieces of King of Queens, and sometimes I'll be this is actually pretty funny.
I think I've seen every episode of King of Queens because I didn't have. I had TBS, and that was it as a kid. I had TBS and Spike and USA,
and I forgot how fucking toxic
they're so mean to each other.
They are, and it ramps up and becomes an arc in the actual series as it goes on. It's that's pretty good for a TV sitcom. I usually don't give a whole lot of credit to sitcoms because I'm not a big sitcom guy. Yeah. But occasionally I'll come across one. Oh, that's a pretty decent idea.
I get you. So yeah, after watching those, only other things I watched were I watched the new James Bond.
Oh yeah,
and I really liked it. I was so happy because Before that, I liked
Yeah,
like
you liked
7 of them, of like the 25.
Yeah.
But this one, I'm like, wow. I really enjoyed that one. I was so surprised. And I was really dreading it because it's almost 3 hours long. It's 2 hours and like 46 minutes. And I'm like, if I don't like this, I'm going to be just hurt. But in general, I was like, this is pretty fun. This is good. This is like a good movie. And it's a really good send-off to like Daniel Craig. This is his last Bond movie.
Have they announced who's going to...
I don't think so. And then I watched Muppets Haunted Mansion.
I haven't watched it yet. Was it good?
It's fun, yeah.
How, because I'm curious, how predominant is Kermit in it?
He chose in and out. He's bad. The voice is bad. This is my first, like, seeing it. There will be, like, 4 lines, like, in a row that I'm like, hey, this sounds just like Kermit. And they'll say something else. I'm like, that just sounds like a guy.
Yeah. They tried to go for, like, Jim Henson's more naturalistic tone, but, like, it's really missing what makes Kermit, like, feel like Kermit. Mm-hmm. Like, the rubbery kind of voice to it. And it's just like, it just sounds like a guy a lot of the time. Like, I was going into it open-minded because he was barely in that Muppets Now TV show. And I figure it's probably an easy fix for him. I just imagine they're telling him not to do, like, the rubbery thing as much.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can fucking do a decent impression. He's been, like, a Muppet puppeteer for, like, a long time now. Yeah. But it's just like... Yeah. It's just like... I'm sad that they decided to go that direction. And I'm sad that they booted I'm blanking on his name. But Kermit, too. I can't think of the actor's name, but the guy who'd been doing them since like the 90s.
Don't remember. Yeah. And then I rewatched Dismissed, which I think I've talked about on the podcast before. It's a very, very bad horror movie starring Dylan Sprouse. You gotta see it. It's hilarious. And then I watched the documentary.
I don't think I've heard anything about Dylan Sprouse in a long time.
He's in a new movie coming out.
Is he?
Yeah, it's
always cold.
It's based in China. Oh. And he learned Mandarin, horseback riding, and sword fighting for the movie.
Oh, well.
All in 8 months or something. And it's based on an old, I think 1900s stage play.
Okay.
The trailer looks... I couldn't... There was no... when I watched the trailer, at that point, there were no subtitles, so I was just like, yes, people are talking.
Yeah, one of those.
But it looked pretty. I'm excited to see it.
Hell yeah.
It'll be fun. I'm like, yo, Dylan Sprouse! But yeah, Dylan Sprouse does not act very often anymore. He has a meatery.
He does?
Yeah. And then I watched this documentary called 3 Identical Strangers that I'd heard really good things about. I was kind of torn on it. I think the base story of it is really interesting, but the movie dives into a lot about ethics and questions on ethics, but the framing of the movie isn't the most ethical to begin with, so it's a little
yeah. It's just yeah, I get those.
Yeah. Oh.
Speaking of ethics, is it ethical to put on a mask and kill people? No, it's not. But,
I was like, where's Thomas going with this? Is Thomas about to just be like, yeah, it is.
Under the right circumstances, Batman, totally ethical.
Yeah. Well, Batman doesn't kill.
I mean, he does sometimes in some continuities.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, but we can probably just jump into talking about Halloween. I am going to pause the recording. This is going to be a long episode, so I'm going to pause the recording, make sure everything went well, because this is an episode I really don't want to have to re-record 2 hours later. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Thomas. We're back to talk about the Halloween franchise. A franchise that I had seen 2 movies of in the past. Well, I thought I had seen 3. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure I saw it like on TV once. I didn't remember a lot of it. But I guess I had watched 3. And I watched 2 like 3 years. Or I watched 1 like 3 years ago. But I hadn't seen any of the other ones. However, I had seen James Rolfe talk about all of them. Like many years ago.
He just wanted some controversy, but we won't talk
about
that.
Okay.
It was a plagiarism Monster Madness thing, kind of went down, and he made an apology video where he's like, I just read it. Not really my fault. And it was just like, he's been undergoing some heavy criticism for like the last, like, couple years, though, but yeah, I don't know. We're not a drama channel. We won't talk about it.
Welcome to Drama Alert. My name is Keemstar, and I'm a fucking asshole. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about Halloween. Yeah. Are we just doing 1 through 9? We're just doing an order? Okay.
We can do it. I watched it in a completely bizarre
Yeah, I
order.
saw. I watched it in pretty much this order, except I watched... I knew 3 I wanted to watch with somebody else. I'm like, Hinata might like this one, Joe might like this one. So I watched 1, 2, 4, and then 3, just because I had time to watch 4.
Yeah. I started with 3, because I knew...
It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, so I was like, might as well get it out of the way. Then I watched the Thorn trilogy, so 4, 5, 6, and then 6 again, because I watched the different cut.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
That sounds miserable.
I mean, it wasn't great, but I mean, I've lived through it. And then I watched 2. Yeah, I watched 2 H2O and Resurrection. Went that timeline. Then I watched
1 and then 18.
1 and 18. So yeah, pretty bizarre, but you know, I've seen these movies enough times. It's not like it was super confusing. I know. But, yeah. Halloween 1978. This movie was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Produced by longtime series producer Mustafa Akkad. Who produced all of them through Resurrection. And then he died. And then the rights went to his kid.
Yeah, I saw an Akkad. Like, I saw Akkad in the 18 credits.
I can't think of his kid's name, but...
but that was his kid.
Mm-hmm. And then, then his kid, like, produced the Rob Zombie ones, and then, 18. And so, it all started in 1978, though. John Carpenter really wanted to make a sequel to Black Christmas.
Centered around Halloween.
Yeah, Mustafa Akkad also was like, this sounds amazing, I'll give you the money for it. Then they wrote the script, made the movie. It was like pretty quick writing, you know. Had Donald Pleasance come out. He's in a lot of them.
Yeah, he's like the main character.
Yeah, he's definitely the glue that holds the Thorn trilogy together. Because Jamie Lee Curtis wouldn't come back because her career was really high up at that point, and it wasn't until like the 90s when horror movies kind of became cool again. So she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll give it another."
Do you think she read like they gave her I don't know. We'll talk about once
when we get to H2O. I can talk a little bit about her knowledge and involvement in that movie. But yeah, so basically, it's a pretty simple plot. I'm sure most of you have seen it, or at least heard of it. It's, Michael Myers, little kid, kills his sister on Halloween night, goes to Smith's Grove for the next, 15 years, escapes, right before they're about to do a transfer, goes back to Haddonfield. Dr. Loomis, who is his longtime therapist, is thinks he should be locked up for life, is basically given up on him as a patient. Is no, he's a dangerous force of nature.
Called him, he's evil. He's the embodiment of evil.
Yeah. So he's has the iconic blackest eyes speech. Then he basically chases after him because he knows he's going to go straight back to Haddonfield. where that morning he witnesses Laurie Strode dropping off a key at the Myers house where he's tied now because it's his house, And then he just kind of stalks her throughout the day and kills a couple of her friends and their boyfriends, or one of their boyfriends. And then at night while she's babysitting, he makes his move, tries to kill her, but she narrowly escapes and Loomis shoots him 7 times out the window and he falls off the balcony.
And he disappears.
So that's the broad strokes of the movie. Now we can talk about more niche, just random jump all over the place shit, because that's kind of what you have to do with this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you feel about it. I like this movie.
I think
a lot.
I think this movie is great. I think this movie has a lot more going for it than almost any of its sequels. I think that it. I don't think any of the sequels get what this movie is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think they're just like, Michael Myers scary, he stabbed people, when I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the closest things we get to that is there are a few moments in 5 and 6, I think. 4 and 5. When some of Jamie's interactions with Michael bring out the human version of him, which I think is kind of an interesting idea, and I think they touch upon it in 2018. They talk about there are these journalists in 2018 that are the worst, but they talk about certain things that I do think are the more interesting ideas of this movie. I think that it's more interesting to look at Loomis as more of just a villain as well as Michael. Because there's no way that a doctor is not evil when being he's just given up on his patient. He's just, from the get-go, he's talking about, as soon as I saw him, and it's just, a lot of it is just, this is...
I think that there is a case for, a realistic, not evil version of Loomis who would come to the realization over, years that, this person's kind of a lost cause. Because there are a lot of, real-life serial killers where it's, you talk to them, you realize this is a lost cause. They know what they're doing is wrong, but they enjoy doing it for whatever reasons compel them. And it's just you can try to fix something that's not really broken with them and just accept that that's just how they be.
Yeah. But I think that's what makes this movie really good for me is I think there is that, the opening scene when you see Michael murder his sister and then you see his face when they take out the mask and he's just standing there he's just completely shocked. Something, it's, shows how traumatic that was for him too. He wasn't in his right mind, and it just makes the movie a lot more interesting to me because it introduces this idea that he's only this way because he didn't get the right help. He was sent somewhere, and then he was given up on, and then this environment he was in molded him into this unkillable, untalking, murderous guy. And then the only thing he can do is seemingly recreate that night. He's just killing, babysitters. He's just killing, he's killing the people that he remembers, that are connected. In
a similar
age. So I think that's fine. Hinata, when she watched this movie, she's I don't get it. Why is he killing these people? And I think, I don't necessarily think that a killer in a movie needs a reason. I think he does if they continue on. That's one of the reasons that I think this movie just works by itself, and by making sequels, it just kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Which we'll get into the story of the sequel and what they decided to do to make.
Stupid. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, no, so does John Carpenter, but, they paid him a bunch of money to write a script in a weekend, and he was well, okay.
And you need a connect, if it continues on, you need something like that, which is so unfortunate. You don't need that specifically.
I think if you wanted to involve Laurie Strode in the movie, you do. I think that they easily could have just had it be kind of what the new one I assume is going to be, where it's just he survived, and he's just going about doing his thing some more because he's still, like Busta Rhymes said, he's a killer shark. He's always moving forward.
Did you? By the way, new one that we're seeing after this. Jim Cummings is in the opening.
What?
Yeah, I saw that in like the credits. He's like, I'm so happy to be. I'm like, yeah. He's probably gonna die in the first 4 minutes, but that's awesome.
How much money you want to bet he's gonna play a cop again?
I'm pretty sure he does. I think I saw his call.
That guy.
He's Thunder Road.
Yeah, Thunder Road.
It's the same character.
Wolf of Snow Hollow. That was my main complaint with that movie, is that it was literally just like a copy and paste of his character from Thunder Road, and it's just like, I love you, Jim Cummings. Please try something new.
His new movie comes out pretty soon, next month. Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I think November 5th, and that looks pretty different and pretty interesting.
I don't know anything about it.
It's called The Beta Test.
Oh,
lots of sex. It looks pretty interesting though. I'm excited to see that. I still haven't seen Wolf of Snow Hollow, but anyway, back to
overall, still good, just not as strong, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, back to my Halloween rant.
Yes.
What was I on about?
You were on about Loomis and how he's like equally villainous.
Yeah, and I think that's
the construction of Michael and how unhelped he was.
Yeah, and I think that I just really don't like where Loomis's character goes in the sequels, because he just kind of gets quieter and
they're basically like,
he was right, and I was like, no.
Yeah. They basically, there's just a huge misunderstanding of kind of like what the first one was going for, and what's it called? It's just like they repeat the same arc, but they just like crank it up a notch each film, because it's like he's a lot like more cutthroat and like just acts kind of scummy in 2, and then they crank that up a little bit in 4, and then they really crank it up in 5, and then in 6 he's so old that they're like, all right, he's just feeble. And then this one, but
in this one it works, and I think it works really well because he's really young too. He's 21 in this movie as a character.
Oh, Mike, I thought you were talking about Loomis. I was like, what?
No, Michael Myers. I think that works well for him, and like especially with Loomis being such this older guy, because he was always had this power over him, and like substantial power, because he came to him when he was 6.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I don't think that's ever really recaptured in any of the sequels.
No, Rob Zombie's Halloween kind of...
The more I hear about Rob Zombie's Halloween, the more I'm like, I think he gets what I get about this. I don't know if I like it, but I think he understands some of the things.
He definitely does, and I have respect for his approach. I think that the execution ultimately wasn't the best, because it's like, what if we explore these ideas in the most just like standard white trash kind of like
trauma
style, and I think it could have been done a lot better. And like I feel like it depends on what you want from Michael. Even I think that the things that we were just talking about work as with Michael as like a subtext and as like a subtle compliment, but I don't necessarily want them to be up at the forefront of the movie. I feel like on the surface level, Michael is like just the stealthy, empty, killer.
Yeah,
and with the mystique. And I feel like if you dive too deep into it, it really breaks the illusion.
I think that works. No, I think that works especially well in this movie because it came out in 1978. Well, it's carved the way for so many things. Yep. And I think having Michael just be a guy with the shape with a mask of just a guy is like a really important thing, as just like being a nameless man, having like the man be the villain of the movie. Like, especially because he targets like young girls, he targets like women. It shows like the dangers that just any woman faces from just seemingly regular fucking people or people that just look like a dude. And I think that's a more powerful thing than like more iconic villains like a guy in a sweater who has long nails. Which I like these villains fine, but this one can be more menacing, and it can hit like a rawness that not the other ones like hit, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's part of the reason why I like these movies a decent amount more than I like the typical like Hollywood long running slasher series, because it's like it is more grounded and
And then he's powered by runes.
Yes, but
But that's about the biggest it gets. Like, yeah, he gets shot a couple times here and there, but most of the time it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. That song that Laurie sings at the beginning of the movie slaps. Doesn't exist, but it slaps.
She made it up.
I think Deborah Hill made it up while they were shooting because they couldn't. They were like, "We don't have the rights to anything. Here, sing this little song I just came up with." So I love that. I really like all the characters in this movie. This movie, some of it is just kind of like a slice of life on Halloween.
And I don't think anyone dies until, like, besides the opening scene, I don't think anyone dies until, like, an hour hour and 10 minutes in.
And there's only one, well, like, maybe if you count, like, the sister at the beginning, like, 2 gory deaths. Most of the time it's, like, strangulation.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's grounded. It's like, you don't need, especially at this time, you don't need, like, there's something fun about watching somebody, like, ripped apart. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
In my sick mind. But, like, there's something more, it's showing, like, how hollow he is. Just and I feel like there's something more, personal about just, like, choking someone.
Yeah. No, definitely.
No.
Because you're using your hands for it. You're not fucking using, like, an external cold blade, And,
well, and I think while there's some fun deaths later in the series,
a couple.
This one has, like...
I texted you that idea where I was like, let's do, like, our top 5 deaths. And then I watched through the movies. I'm like, there aren't as many interesting deaths as I was struggling to come up with just 5 on my own. I was like,
yeah,
most of them are pretty bland or pretty standard.
Or they just kind of do it again. No.
Yeah. And it gets into an interesting question because it's like, what do you count for that? Do you count, like, on-screen deaths? Do you count deaths that happen off-screen? Because, like, Michael does some weird shit sometimes. Like, not every movie, but it seems like often, like, once a movie, he does some weird, like, display of, like, I'm gonna fuck with a person just by, like, putting their body somewhere.
Yeah.
Or something weird like that.
This one, he's just like, I'm wearing a ghost costume.
Yeah. I think my favorite is from the new one where he just, like, holds his hand over the bathroom stall and just drops a bunch of fucking teeth down into it. And it's just like, that's weird. That seems...
Yeah, I'm like, holy fuck, Michael, what do you...
That seems like something creepy he'd do. But,
is he just, like, standing over someone, just, like, whipping out each tooth? He's like, I need more.
He's like, this is going to be really funny, but only to me.
I'm gonna get him.
But, Halloween, classic.
I do, I think this is, like... And watching this movie, it kind of made me sad, because, like... Especially with the long-running ones, I'm like, this is as good as it gets. And it's not going to even be close. I was like, I'm like dreading the rest, because I'm like, this is so good, and it explores a lot of things that I know the other movies aren't going to explore, because they're just going to be like a slasher movie. While, like, watching Friday the 13th, I didn't feel that same way, because the first couple just fucking suck.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it got better. I'm like, sweet. This is easy to watch. And Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm like, at the very least, the first one, I'm like, good. And then at the very least, knowing it, I'm like, I'll probably like New Nightmare. And then I watched 3 and I really like that one too. So I'm like, cool. I had moments that I'm like, okay, cool. But I wasn't really expecting to like anything except this and maybe 3 and maybe the new one, because I like David Gordon Green as a director from what I've seen.
Yeah. Well.
And we'll talk. Maybe I like more of them.
Yeah. I mean, I like a few of them. Not nearly in the same capacity or same way that I like the first one, but I get stuff out of some of the sequels. So yeah.
Also, the Halloween theme is really fucking good. Like, it's overplayed a lot.
Not just the Halloween theme, but there are other, like, tracks in the soundtrack that are just, like, iconic.
Yeah.
Like, I think of them all the time.
I think I might still like the soundtrack to, like, The Fog more, because The Fog has a great soundtrack, too.
John Carpenter's got a lot of great soundtracks. Like, the Thing soundtrack's really good, too. It's the one he collabed with fucking Ennio Morricone for.
Yeah. The soundtrack's fantastic.
Yeah. John Carpenter just making dope-ass soundtracks.
He's still alive, right?
Yeah, he did the soundtrack. I don't know if he does the soundtrack for the new one, but he did it for 18, and the soundtrack for that movie slaps, too. And he came up with a couple new songs, like the Shape Hunts Allison, the one that's got the... I like that sound effect. It sounds like Wario if he were just like...
But yeah, in general, I do think this movie is pretty great.
Yeah.
Definitely has like a low budget, and not all the acting's great for some of the side characters. But I think like Laurie Strode, I think Jamie Lee Curtis is pretty good in this.
All right, pick one. Someone's pointing a gun at your head. Black Christmas or Halloween?
Black Christmas. Black Christmas.
Yeah, I think I might agree with that. I watch Halloween more often, and I'm definitely more nostalgic for Halloween. But they're both good. They're both really good. I just feel like Black Christmas has got a little bit.
I don't know why I jumped
ambitious.
on that. So I think because in my mind, I think I like them about the same. But in my mind, I'm like, if this movie doesn't exist, now the sequels exist.
Fair. I always think
Black Christmas is like, it had 2 really bad remakes, but I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually try to... I always think about that mindset, too, because I was thinking about, like, man, I kind of like the Halloween 18 soundtrack the most. But it, like, a lot of what I like about it is just, like, stuff built on top of the soundtrack of the original. So do I like that one more, technically?
Yeah.
I was going back and forth on that. I like them both. Interchangeably. They're both good. But yeah.
I think that Halloween is like a denser movie than Black Christmas, in like thematically, and like looking at it in like a critical way. But I think I might have more fun with Black Christmas.
I have more fun with Black Christmas, and I feel like the character arcs and like there's like a decent few like things I remember from Black Christmas where I'm like, wow, like that really stuck with me. Like I like that like Margot Robbie's character, not Margot Robbie, Margot Kidder.
Yo, we need to remake Black Christmas right now.
Margot Robbie, hit her up. I'm sure she's down to make the fucking 4th Black Christmas remake, 3rd Black Christmas remake. And the last one just came out like 3 years ago. 4 years ago, however long it was now. But, I mean, that didn't count. It had nothing to do with the actual movie. But...
How long ago did we watch that? That was 2020.
Almost the most recent Christmas. But yeah, you would give this one an 8.
Yeah. I think you might also. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Time to immediately go downhill. Halloween 2.
Halloween 2. They were like...
Laurie Strode's sister!
John Carpenter really wanted to make a movie, like a collab movie with one of his favorite like sci-fi authors. But they were like, you gotta make Halloween 2 first. And he's like, so he sat down one weekend with like a bunch of beer and he fucking hashed out the script to fucking Halloween 2. And it shows. He was just... John Carpenter, I love John Carpenter to death. But the man honestly has no shame. And he acknowledges this. He's like, if you write me a big enough paycheck, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I think in his mind, he's like, if I make this, it's not going to like make Halloween 1 less good. It'll just be, this'll be a shitty movie.
Yeah. It'll definitely taint the legacy for sure. Yeah. But in a way, it'll kind of enhance it. It's.
I mean, watching them back to back, you're like reminded how fucking good Halloween 1 is. But like,
yeah, Halloween 2, it suffers from a lot of things, but there are definitely things in the movie that I do enjoy.
I know you were talking about how like the last like 30 minutes you like or whatever, like once they're actually in the hospital and doing stuff. Is that it? Yeah?
Yeah. Once like the final chase happens.
I don't fucking remember anything from like the first hour. I'm like.
I think the main thing that I love about Halloween 2 is the fact that they kill Ben Tramer. I think that's really funny and it always sticks out to me. Because, you know, it's just a passing character in the first one, you know, because Laurie Strode, she's like the humble, shy girl, and her friends are like, who do you have? You don't like boys. And she's like, I kind of like Ben Tramer. And they're like, oh. And then fucking in this movie, we find out it's just a total fucking out of nowhere scene. They see a person walking with a Michael Myers mask with like blonde hair, though. And like Loomis is like, ah, and points his gun, and the guy's like drunk. And he's like, huh? And he just kind of stumbles into a road where a cop
is just
speeding, going like 50 miles an hour on Halloween night, straight at a parked car, and just fucking explodes and kills Ben Tramer. And they don't know that at the time. They're like, yeah, let's go check the dental records. It's a 17-year-old. That's not Michael Myers. And then later, the Ben Tramer's friends come up to like the sheriff and they're like, yeah, we haven't seen Ben. He was wearing a mask and he walked home drunk. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's probably him. So, not confirmed Ben Tramer dead. Maybe he'll show up in the sequel.
Yeah. And he'll be like, it was me all along.
That'd be great. But yeah, so basically, yeah, picks up right where Halloween left off. Yeah, like Laurie Strode is sedated in a hospital the whole movie while this ambulance driver named Jimmy, like, creepily just hovers over her the whole movie. And then, depending on which cut you watch, he just completely disappears. There's a scene where he, like, slips and hits his head on, like, in a pile of blood and hits his head hard on the floor. And he goes out into a car and has a concussion and, like, puts his head down. The theatrical cut, that's all you ever see. But there's a TV cut where you get a different final scene. Where basically he gets into he's, like, in the ambulance with Laurie Strode at the end of the movie. And then he, like, rises up in the sheet kind of like an H2O. And she's like, oh. And then he's like, it's me. And then she's, like, sobbing, holding his hand. She's like, we made it. And he just looks so fucking awkward. He's like, this girl's having an emotional breakdown in front of me. What the fuck? It's such a weird scene, but yeah, I like the theatrical ending and the theatrical cut of this movie just much more. Because it ends on that cool, like, fire shot. But, yeah, no, most of this movie just follows the hospital staff, and it doesn't really develop any of them. It's just kind of like, you're in the hospital with Laurie Strode and the staff, and Michael goes around and kills most of them off screen, but you get a couple of them on screen. There's only really 2 notable kills in the movie, which is, I guess, like, the hot... It's not like a hot tub. They're in, like, a boiler room bath thing. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
But Michael, like, cranks it way the fuck up and, like, drowns somebody in one of them. And then the other notable death is when he, like, stabs the nurse in the back with the scalpel and, like, lifts her up. That one's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's a lot of strength.
Yeah, no, this is definitely the start of, like, super strength Michael. I mean, there's a little bit of it in the first one, I guess, but, like...
There's a lot of it, and I think is it 2018, where he's just, like, blowing people's... He just curb stomps,
yeah,
and they just explode. I'm like, what the fuck?
18's getting into the evil incarnate idea again, which I don't mind.
I like to imagine he was just working out those 40 years. Just his legs, though.
Yeah. But yeah, so he fucking what's it called? Yeah, he chases Laurie around the hospital. He gets his eyes fucking, like, shot out, and then he's still, like, swinging around. And he gets lit on fire and dies with Loomis, but he, like, walks out afterwards, and it's, like, the scene where you're like, oh my god, he's still going. He's on fire, and he's still going. And, yeah, then he collapses and dies. And for all intents and purposes, like, that's it. Like, he's fucking chicken nuggets, you know, burnt. But, yeah, he fucking keeps going in some of the sequels, though. But we'll get into that. So I'd say the strongest addition that this movie makes is using Mr. Sandman by the Quartets. I think that was a strong choice. The worst decision this movie makes is making Laurie Strode
not in it. Oh, that's his sister. But also, she's like barely in it for quite a bit of the runtime.
Yeah,
I'm like, cool.
I don't know why they decided to do that. She's also wearing this terrible wig throughout the movie. I think she had short hair at that point for like a different role, and they were like,
why didn't you just like say she, like, her hair got caught, or you could have just wrote something, or
yeah, could have just reshot the end of the first one and just had her have short like H2O hair. But yeah, she doesn't do anything throughout most of the movie, which I wouldn't necessarily have a big problem with, but neither does anyone else.
Yeah, it's just, and it's not even like a fun slice of life thing, because now people are like red alert, and it's just like they're just kind of talking, and they're just kind of regurgitating things that they've already said in the first movie.
Loomis bounces between like 3 cops throughout the movie, because he's traveling with Annie's dad for the first part, and then he hears about her death from the first one, and he's like, "Damn you, Loomis, you let him out!" And then he goes
No, I didn't. What?
Yeah, then he goes to mourn his daughter, and then this like deputy steps in, and he's like, "I'll be holding your hand for a little while." And then basically, like, I guess the governor sent a sheriff to like pick up Loomis, because they're like, "You can't, you're causing too much of a ruckus."
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But so then he travels with a different cop for the third part of the movie, and that cop like gets killed instantly, because he's like, "Hey, Michael Myers here on the ground," and then he gets just fucking bodied, and it's like, yeah.
I think there is, like, if they'd stayed with just Annie's dad, there could have been something there, something interesting.
Even if they had stayed with the second one they introduced, literally, but they just kept bouncing around, and it's like, what are you doing?
Is this the one where they like a mob forms and they accidentally kill a guy in the bush?
No, that's 4.
Okay. But they do have people go, is this the one where they egg the Myers house, or is that also 4? Or they're just like outside the Myers house and they're like, "Fuck, go!" There's like a big group of kids.
Oh, that's 6.
That's 6? Are you sure there isn't a scene like that in this one?
Maybe there is.
Because they find out about it.
There's like the scene where the kids are like putting up Michael Myers shit, and like, I think TPing the Myers house that the Strodes live in 6, and the dad's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Get the fuck."
Oh, yeah. No, I mean at night. Yeah. Oh, fuck. 6 is rough. Anyway,
we'll talk extensively.
I think 2 is pretty bad, but I don't think it's like terrible. It's like watchable, but
the best way I've heard this described is it's like DLC for the first movie, and it's like, yeah,
and it's poor DLC.
Yeah, it's like you get a cool little like climax, but
yeah,
it's pretty much all it offers. But yeah, no, two not good. It's just poorly reproducing things from the first one. It felt like it had to catch up, because even though it came out like 3 years after the first one, the amount that the slasher genre was like shifting in terms of like gore and like kind of like nudity presentation, they were just like, people aren't gonna like it if we don't.
Gotta sex it up.
Exactly. And yeah, so they introduced a bunch of horny, like, near Laurie's age hospital staff, which that happens a lot in 80s movies. There's always like someone who's like hanging out with high schoolers and like, "Oh, also like part-time, I'm like working at the hospital." And it's like, I always found that very strange.
Yeah.
But, yeah, shit like that. Yeah. Halloween 2. Not good.
Not good. You would give this a 4. Like 5.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 5. I don't think it's like offensively bad. It's just a very run-of-the-mill slasher that fails to recapture what I like. I don't know. You give it like 3? 4.
I would give it a 4. All right, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yeah. I hadn't watched this movie in a long time, and I've always talked it up.
Oh, you didn't like it this time?
It's not that I didn't...
I thought it was great.
It's not that I didn't like it. I think the concept, great. The execution,
I thought it was that.
I don't know. I was like watching it, I'm just like, man. Like, okay. I guess let's explain the basic plot. Because there's still, I'd say overall, I enjoy this movie still.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hit how much I wanted it to hit. Like, damn. Fuck. I wanted this to be more. But, so the plot of this movie, you follow a drunken doctor, who is played by, Tom Selleck. Or no.
Tom Atkins.
Tom Atkins. I always fucking do that. Tom Atkins, and he's got like an ex-wife who's buying his kids better Halloween masks, which, I mean, isn't very hard because the Halloween masks he showed up with were fucking like...
He looks like probably got them from the dollar store.
Yeah, they're like the plastic masks with like the strings, like they're garbage. And, they've got the fucking... I almost called it the Shamrock Shake masks.
Is it Silver Shamrock?
Silver Shamrock masks, which there's 3 of them, but every kid has one.
Yeah, because they're high quality and
yep.
fun
you got
to
the
wear.
3 options. It
pumpkin,
matches every
witch,
costume.
and skeleton. Or
there's
something?
like one scene where you see like, I think like the witch on like a fairy like body, and it's just like, yeah,
it works.
But yeah, basically, Stonehenge, one of them has gone missing. And every kid in America loves these masks. And there's like 8 days till Halloween. And, basically, the whole catalyst of the movie is that, Tom Atkins, a patient comes through. It's this guy, he's like holding a silver shamrock mask. And he's like, they're gonna kill me. And then one of them comes in at night, kills him. I like the way he dies. It's like he like grabs him by like the bridge of the nose, like in the eyes, and just like squeezes and like obliterates that part of his face.
Yeah.
It's like, that's pretty graphic and pretty cool.
When the guy walks out and lights himself on fire in his car and the car explodes. I also like that.
And then it takes them days to figure out that he was not human, that there was no human remains. They're like, oh, it's just a bunch of car parts. Wait, this isn't a car part. What is this? And then it's implied that it was being covered up by like some of the higher hospital staff though. And the like autopsy woman that's helping Tom Atkins out in that department ends up getting fucking murked partway through the movie.
Yeah.
But he basically, so the patient that got assassinated at the hospital has a daughter who was half of Tom Atkins' age. Of course, it's mandatory for all of Tom Atkins' John Carpenter movies.
It's fine, he's hot.
It's always so noticeable though, because he's like,
bro, you look 55.
Yeah, he's at the point where he's about to enter the golden years, and then he's like with like a 23-year-old, and it's always just like, yep.
Yeah.
But if I was in the 80s,
if I was Tom Atkins,
yeah, I don't blame him. I'd probably do the same thing, honestly. But sus. If I was in the shoe of the 23-year-old woman, not Tom Atkins, because Tom Atkins is so irresistible.
Oh, okay, yeah, you'd fuck Tom Atkins. Okay, I got it.
I don't know what you thought I was saying.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Got it.
But yes. So basically, she's like, I'm investigating my dad's death. And he's like, you are? Not anymore. I'm gonna do all of the investigating from now on. He doesn't say that, but that's what happens. Yeah. So they go to the town where Silver Shamrock. I definitely thought I said the fucking shake again. The Silver Shamrock masks are made, and then fucking turns out they stay at a hotel. A woman who's actually played by Tom Atkins' real life wife gets shot in the face with a laser because she's fucking with a chip that's on one of the masks.
That looked fucking sick.
Yeah.
I was like, yo! There's some really fun effects in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. And then another like family that's staying there. It turns out like the dad's like a big #1 fucking mask seller for them, and he likes to like get his masks like a year ahead of time. It's like, you gotta do it while it's popping, you know. Get ahead of the game. And he takes his family on a tour, and then they're like, yeah, we want to have a conversation with you. We're going to give you like our special things. Just go in this room, have your kid put on his mask and watch the TV. And then they show Tom Atkins this because he's like been caught at this point in the movie. The daughter gets kidnapped. I don't know her name. But she doesn't really have much of a character, so it's like...
she wants to fuck Tom Atkins.
Yes. But,
Ellie.
So Ellie gets kidnapped, and then Tom Atkins is like, well, I gotta go save Ellie, and then partway through he gets caught by the main villain. I can't remember the name of the main villain in this movie, but he's great. I love him.
Cochran?
Yeah.
Connell Cochran, I think.
Yeah, he's like this big like businessman, and everybody in the town,
I'm the Joker.
Everyone in the town loves him because he's like bringing work into the town. But
when the lady gets her face lasered, he's like, I'm taking her to the factory.
Yes.
We'll fix her up there.
We've got top of the line doctors at the mask factory. And Tom Atkins is like, sus, but
he's like, I'm a doctor.
Yeah. A drunken one most of the time, but
still a doctor nonetheless.
I couldn't help but think of Killing of a Sacred Deer when this movie started, when they were like revealing he drank on the job. I was like, But, yeah, so he goes into the factory, witnesses what these masks are really going to do on Halloween night, which is, I guess...
Bug.
The movie novelization explains that, like, the masks open up, like, a portal to a different dimension. Yeah. I wish they would have explained that.
Bugs come out. That makes
in the movie.
We kind of see that. Stonehenge does stuff.
You get the impression that
magic stuff makes kid die and
turn into like bugs and snakes.
Bugs and snakes come out
and kill his parents.
Yeah.
Who are locked in their room with all of that.
Yeah.
And then Tom Atkins is like, wow. Why? And the dude's like,
Halloween prank,
bro. And it's like, oh, that's pretty sick. And then...
it would be a pretty sick prank.
Yeah. So then, he, like, ties Tom Atkins to a chair, puts a mask on him, puts the TV there. He's like, Happy Halloween, motherfucker. And then he leaves. And then Tom Atkins is like, I'm just going to knock over this chair, take off my mask. He kicks the TV in so he doesn't, like, succumb to any commercials. And then he escapes... goes and saves Ellie. Doesn't save Ellie.
It's not Ellie.
Because she's a robot. I totally misremembered. I thought she was a robot the whole movie. Like, I always thought that's what the twist was. I don't think that's what the twist is. I think it's implied that they kill her when they take her away. And they just, like, whip up a quick... Because, like, once he saves her, she doesn't talk again after that. So I think that's a good indicator that she's just a quick robot that they made. But yeah, so he saves Ellie, and then they, like...
Cochran dies.
Yeah, they go and basically, like... I can't remember exactly what it is he does, but he, like... I think he starts, like, the signal...
Yeah, no, he turns on the TV, then goes upstairs and just starts pouring them on, like, the little things.
The little beam.
And then they just start, like, shooting beams everywhere.
And then Stonehenge gets mad and kills Cochran.
Yeah.
And then
he's like, good job. He's like, well played.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh god, it's gonna still happen. So he kills Ellie because she's evil robot. Mm-hmm. And then he runs to the, like, nearest gas station. He's like, I need to use your phone.
Same gas station from the beginning.
Yeah. And he's calling the news stations. He's like, I need you to turn it off. I need you to believe me. Please do it. And he gets 2 of the 3 to turn it off with the third one. He's like, no, it's still on. No.
Yeah.
No. And then the movie ends.
And yeah, I love the ending to this
Yeah.
movie. It's like perfect. I think it would have been better had he not convinced them to take any of them off, because it would have been more realistic. It's like,
Yeah.
why? I'm not going to turn off.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't believe. He's like, please believe me.
You realize how expensive advertising space is, right? Like, that guy probably paid, like, at this time period, millions of dollars to have these 3 time slots at this time of night on, like, Halloween. Like, probably a pretty popular night. It's like, I'm sorry, capitalism won't allow for this.
It would have been a more
Based off of
realistic
an
ending,
unhinged-
but it's a fun little ending with him being like so close to saving.
Yeah. You know, I know they did a 40 years later sequel to the original, but I think they should also do a 40 years later sequel to this.
All children are dead. Snakes inhabit the planet.
It's just like everyone's like, hey, you remember that time 40 years ago when like a third of the child population died because that commercial played on TV?
You know how we have like just billions of more snakes than we should?
Yeah. Man, the insects really got out of control.
That's why the biggest corporation in America now is a pest control specialist.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, John Carpenter hit us up. We'll write that movie for you in a weekend.
Is Tommy Lee Wallace still alive? The director of this movie?
No idea.
He did Friday Night 2.
Oh, did he?
And the miniseries.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the sequel to John Carpenter's Vampires.
They did a sequel to that?
They did 2.
What?
Apparently they're both horrible.
I never even fucking heard of them, and I've been deep-rooted into the horror community for quite a while, so that's pretty...
I think one of them's called Vampires Los Muertos. I don't know. I think this movie is very fun. And I think this is the only Halloween movie that actually has, like, things to say that isn't just like a slasher. Like, this has allegories and metaphors. And it isn't just like, Michael Myers bad.
I like this movie, but I feel like the bulk of it is just boring, standard, like, noir.
I enjoyed most of the noir. Maybe it's like standard, but I like it. And I do like Tom Atkins' character in it. And I think he's fun to watch. And there's a lot of fun effects. And I don't know. Maybe it was because I watched this like right after 4 and 2. I'm like,
fair.
This is fun. This is different. This isn't boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely still enjoy it. I feel like it could have been a lot more. And I feel like probably John Carpenter feels the same way. I know that he collabed with that sci-fi author that he wanted to, because this is like why he made Halloween 2, so he could make this movie. And they're like, alright, it's Halloween 3. So he made this, and then like they pissed off the author who like removed his name from the script, because like I guess the studio was like, yeah, we want to add like some more gore and stuff like that to the movie. So, and he was like, well, I feel like that's just tasteless, and he kind of like walked away. But yeah, Halloween 3, pretty good, pretty decent. Not as strong as I would have liked, but you know, maybe we'll get a remake or something one day.
Yeah, me and you will make it.
I'm down. Witches enter the digital age.
Tom Atkins will be 30 years old, though, and his love interest will be that guy's mother instead. She'll be 80.
I was going to say, yeah, it's got to be the reverse, where it's just like some 23-year-old guy, like some Harold and Maude kind of shit. But
yeah. We need more grandmas in movies.
I agree.
But yeah, you would give this movie a 6.
Yeah. You would give it a 7.
Yes. Halloween 4. You better not be doing no Halloween shit to me, or whatever that guy says.
What?
There's a guy, he works at like the power plant in this one. And Michael Myers shows up, and he's just like, don't be doing no Halloween shit to me. Then Michael Myers throws him on like the power.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's the only thing I remember from this movie. Not very good. All right, Halloween 5. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually like Halloween 4.
Oh, okay. Why?
I admit most of it's just like a watered down, not as good rehash of the first one. But I think it's got things about it that I like. Number one, Danielle Harris. I think she is phenomenal in this movie.
Phenomenal child actor. Yeah, she's really good.
I like her relationship and her like little character arc about being like basically kind of adopted into this family. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like this movie for the same, not the same reasons I like the first one, but I kind of like the lackadaisical kind of slice of life feel that a lot of it has. This is a very like comfortable horror movie for me to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always just like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this one, and then I'm gonna watch the two following pieces of shit that are really bad after it, usually. But you know, I don't know. This one's just cozy. I like it. I like the intro sequence with like the orange text on like the just nice fall like farmland with the Halloween decorations. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny that like Loomis is just like, yes, I was burnt. I've got this slight scar on the side of my face. I like the little preacher scene where he's hitchhiking and the preacher picks him up.
Yeah, that guy's fun. There's a lot of like small characters in this, and I'm like, I wish there was more of this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why he just kind of shows up and then leaves.
I like the mob going loose.
Yeah. I don't. My main issue with this movie is they don't go into those aspects enough.
I agree.
It's like, cool, here's a really interesting idea that we're not going to delve into at all.
Mm-hmm. I love the shotgun death. That's probably one of my favorites. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, a bunch of little stuff. I find it to be, while it's a copy paste, I find it to be harmless. Yeah.
I don't like this movie, but it's another one that I don't hate. It's just like, it has some interesting ideas, but I think more so like 2 is just like boring. 4's, I'm like, there's some interesting ideas here, and they just aren't doing it. It's kind of making me sad.
Yeah.
Also, I think Danielle, what was her name?
Harris
is really good in this, but I think like the story is really like dumb, where it's just like, oh yeah, Laurie Strode's dead, or like, oh yeah, she's just it's just like, it's very lazy. It's like, oh no, Michael needs to kill him, and I'm like, I just hate Michael needs to kill his family. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, they were definitely going with what, like, they were following 2, which is always going to be a fucking problem.
Yeah.
So they write themselves into some like awkward territory with that. But yeah, I don't know. I really like it. It was meant to be like a milestone movie. A lot of the Halloween movies, you'll notice it's like they'll hit a milestone and they'll reboot it and they'll be like, yeah, and it'll like kickstart a couple films and then it'll lie dormant for like until the next milestone. And I kind of appreciate that because this is like the 10-year milestone for the Halloween series, and Mustafa Akkad's like, we're going to make another one. And we'll bring Michael back this time since that's what everybody wanted. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a fun, dumb return to form. And I enjoy it.
Yeah. I would agree with you that it is dumb. No.
Yeah.
If I had seen it more, if I had liked the other ones, maybe I would enjoy it. Yeah. But it's just like, I feel about the same way I feel about 2. It's not like terrible, but I just don't really see a point to watching it for me. I'm not really enthralled by anything in it besides like, wow, this kid can act.
Yeah. The mask looks like shit.
The mask looks like fucking garbage, yeah.
But
not as bad as in 5 though.
Yeah, 5's probably the worst one for me. That or maybe arguably half of H2O. But we'll get into that when we get there. And yeah, Movie ends with a bunch of fucking rednecks shooting Michael down into a well.
Yeah. Reminds me of Friday the 13th 9 or whatever. When the SWAT team shows up. Like, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. I'm like, this is fun.
And then Jamie Lloyd kills her stepmom.
Yeah, it's like, the cycle of vengeance continues with her, and it's like, we're gonna immediately retcon this.
Yeah, these movies suffered the same fate of like the Star Wars, where it's just like they didn't have a solid concept for the trilogy that they were planning on doing. They were just like, we're just gonna write stuff and hope that the next film figures it out or is faithful to what we've established, which, no.
Works a little better for Star Wars, I guess, in the sense that they doesn't have a villain that needs to be alive the whole time. Like, it's not like we need Michael Myers.
I don't know. You could compare, like, Win and Curse to, like, the Palpatine reveal almost.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, I agree with that.
Just like, what? But yeah, so Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I like it. London does. You would give this a 4.
Yeah. You would give this maybe a low 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Halloween 5.
This one sucks.
Revenge of Michael Myers. Yeah. This movie,
Psychic link.
yeah, really focuses on that psychic link. Another shared trait with Star Wars. It's like Kylo Ren and Rey.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Friday the 13th 7.
I mean, yes, kind of. I mean,
well, in the sense, there's a second girl in that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, Jamie and Michael are just like, no.
Do you think when they were writing Star Wars, they were just looking at the Thorn trilogy?
Yeah, they're like, oh, write that down.
Of all the things that take inspiration from. Yeah, fucking Halloween 5.
It's just him going after Jamie the whole time. They kill off the...
No, it's not.
I mean...
It's him going after Tina most of the time.
Yeah, you're right. For no reason. I don't know why it's a Jamie.
And then she dies in the, like, second half of the movie, and then from that point on, it's like...
I was like, who the fuck is Tina?
Yeah. Okay, this movie's...
Why is he going after Tina?
This movie's egregious because they kill Rachel.
Yeah, that. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's like, why? They brought her back to kill her. And it's like...
Well, it's like Halloween Resurrection.
It's like if they wanted to... Yeah, but that one... I'll get into the story behind that one. With this one, there is no story behind it. It felt like they wanted to do it for shock value. But, like, honestly, if you're going to kill off her character... Kill her off, like, towards the end of the movie, once you feel like her character's been, like, paid off in some sort of way. Not, I'm gonna go on a trip. Actually, I'm gonna get stabbed, like, in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's, like, it's really weird. It's not very well executed at all. And then we follow her best friend, Tina, for the rest of the movie, who is, like... She's not a great character. She's just, like...
Yeah.
Woo! I'm an 80s girl! Woo! And that's kind of just like she's going to parties. Jamie, like, there's one scene where Jamie's, because she's got the psychic link with Michael, so she knows Michael's after her, and she's like, please stay here, don't go. Jamie's mute, like, the first 2/3 of this movie, while Tina's relevant. And then, like, around the time Tina dips from the movie, she starts talking. It's like, it just feels like the hospital thing with, like, Laurie Strode in Halloween 2, where it's like, why did you hold the character back in this way?
Yeah.
Like, what was the point other than to just save them for the final third of the movie? Like, why? Why couldn't they be in the first 2/3? But, yeah, fucking... So, Jamie's at this, like, child mental health clinic kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but... some sort of a center for, like, troubled kids. She's mute. She can't talk. Dr. Loomis is there and harasses her to, like...
where is it? Tell me! Tell me where she is!
He's basically, like, in her face, like, if you don't tell me where he is, you're half as responsible for all the murders as he is. And she's just like... There's just that staff member in the corner going, like, Loomis, please, stop. She's a little girl. And it's just like, what the fuck?
So was Michael when he killed his sister.
Yeah, and they like shrug. I think according to this film, Jamie's like mother's not dead, but she was just like injured, because there's a scene where they're like, do you want to call your mom? And like the parents recommend that Rachel go away for vacation, but they're also gone at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
it really just tries to fucking like out of sight, out of mind.
Just don't remember the last 4 minutes.
Yep. So it's just like, okay. So yeah, Michael chases Jamie. He gets like, there's like a tribute to Frankenstein towards the beginning of the movie, because like an old hermit guy kind of like nurses him back to health over the course of a year. And it's like, okay, first of all, how? Do you have an IV in there? Were you like taking his mask off and just like feeding him non-solids? Like, what were you doing? And then Michael wakes up and instantly kills him.
What was the point? Why didn't you just have Michael like wake up and then wander into a hut and just slowly recuperate by himself or something? Like, why make this hermit character?
I don't know. But yeah, so he then comes back, stalks Tina for 2/3 of the movie, kills her and her friends, and then goes after Jamie finally. It's like, I don't know why you didn't do that right from the get-go. But yeah, then, you know, he chases Jamie. They get into like a fucking... They go to the Myers house, which I will say, I like the look of the Myers house in this movie. It's like a lot more decrepit and like old and gross looking than it is in a lot of other sequels. Yeah. Which I thought that was pretty neat.
There's some interesting stuff in this last part. I like the like kind of confrontation where she's like, "It's Michael, it's me.
Yeah,
let me see your face." Like that
I like the idea that she's like the thing that'll like the last. The concept that I like about Michael going after his family, it's like he wants to fully embrace like the dark side of him, but he knows as long as like one of his like family members is alive, he feels like they could like touch the human side of him, and he's trying to kill that off. So I like that in concept enough, I guess. And they kind of explore that in this movie more than they do any of the other ones, but they don't explore it enough, and it's just like
they
really
don't
tacked
do it
on at the
super
end.
well. But like that interaction specifically, I'm like, this is what I want. Like this is interesting, and I think like at this point, I just kind of wish Michael took off his mask. Like he takes off his mask in this, and I don't know. I think it'd be an interesting idea for Michael to be unmasked and to be just walking around as a regular guy.
He takes off his mask, and you just get a close up of his crying eye in this one, and it's just like, why don't you just show his face?
Yeah,
like they show his face in the first movie.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a fucking like, oh my god, you can't show his face. Like, the Blueprint film did it.
Yeah. But even the 2018 one, they're like, oh, it's kind of his face. Oh, it's a little bit.
They make sure never to, like, give you, like, a direct look at it. Which, whatever.
Halloween ends. I'm to take off the mask.
Hopefully.
I have no idea what the fuck Halloween Kills is gonna be. Because it's like, cool, it's already planned to be a trilogy. I really hope Kills doesn't suck, but it might.
Me too. I mean, I'm hopeful, because like when they were planning on like shooting all 3 of them back to back, and they were like, why don't we just make the first one, see what people say, see what the general criticisms are, and try to like fix whatever errors we make. So that comment alone kind of instilled me with a little bit of hope of like, maybe it'll be all right. Like maybe they, and I like 18 enough, despite its plentiful flaws. But, like, you know. It is what it is. I might like it more as like a piece of the trilogy, you know? But, yeah. Halloween 5. I don't like this as a piece of the trilogy. I don't think it's good.
Oh, Loomis does beat Michael to near death with a stick. That's pretty fun.
Yes.
But yeah, no, this movie's garbage. It's not the worst of them, but
yeah,
it's pretty rough.
That is how he dies in this one. Correct. Like,
they arrest him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then the guy shows up with a machine gun.
R.L. Stein.
Was that him?
No, it just looks like him in the Goosebumps.
That's fucking stupid. But yeah, he just like beats Michael to near death, and then they arrest him.
Yeah,
and then somebody breaks him out.
They like leave the mask on, and he's just like wearing handcuffs, and it's just like, what is happening? And then, they use like dynamite and a machine gun to get him out, and then like Jamie Lloyd walks in, and she's like, no! And then there was a 6-year hiatus. Because this movie didn't perform very well, but Mustafa Akkad is a determined man.
He's like, we gotta finish this super cool trilogy. They had 6 years to write the next movie. And then this is what they came up with. Anyway,
well,
5?
To be fair, I think Mustafa Akkad was like, guys, we can't. If we wait 6 years, we can get Paul Rudd in this movie.
He's gonna be Ant-Man.
And then like 20 years after that, he'll be famous.
He was in I Love You Man, like
Paul Rudd was...
He was in Clueless the same year.
Yeah, he was famous before Ant-Man. It's just like, he clearly his celebrity status jumped a tier when he did those movies.
Just like Will Poulter's Will.
Because I feel
Did you see that?
Huh?
Will Poulter?
Oh.
He's playing Adam Warlock.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Nice. Because I feel like I had a train of thought, but I completely fucking lost.
Got him. Ant-Man. Paul Rudd.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going.
But anyway, 5. You'd give a 3.
Yeah. You would give it 2.
I'd also give it a 3.
Okay.
All right.
The Curse of Michael Myers. The producer's cut. And I'll talk about they're basically the same movie, but there's some pretty big differences in between the two. One of which the theatrical cut decided to leave out the most controversial part of the film.
The fact that Michael fucked Jamie?
Yes.
Or at the very least, they took his scene. What the fuck?
Okay.
What the fuck?
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't justify that.
What the fuck?
I didn't fucking write it.
So the curse, this has a cult of Michael Myers in it. The Thorn cult, and they kidnap Michael and Jamie has a baby with Michael, and then Jamie dies, and then
she's in the hospital
she's in the hospital, and then R.L. Stein shows up, shoots her in the head. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, she had hidden her baby in like the bottom of like a bus depot, like in the basement, in the bathroom in the basement or something.
Yeah, strange bathroom.
Paul Rudd. Super creepy, but super smart. And he's the kid that Laurie Strode babysat at the beginning in Halloween 1.
Yeah.
So he's dealing with his PTSD, and he's like, I know Michael Myers is still alive. And he finds the baby, and he's like, Loomis, I have a baby.
Follows a trail of blood at the bus station.
Yeah, and I'm like, nobody saw this?
Yeah.
I was watching this with Pierre, and I'm like, I would understand if it was just in the phone booth. I'd be like, okay, I guess nobody's used that this morning.
But
but it's just like this big blood trail. And I'm like, nope, nobody's seen this.
That's probably how Michael found her, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Paul Rudd, and then he's helping out next door neighbor who lives in the Myers house. Whatever her name is.
They're the Strodes.
Oh, yeah. They're the Strodes. Yeah. They're the dad is the brother of Laurie Strode's adopted dad.
Father. Yes.
And he's just really evil.
He couldn't sell the house, so he just unknowingly moved his family into it.
Yeah.
Or not unknowing to them. They didn't know the history of the house, apparently.
Everyone in that family dies except the older sister and her son, who's going to be the next carnation of Michael if Michael kills the last remaining part of his family. Yeah. But also, why would they have him make a baby if the point was to kill the final victim? why would they make another victim?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's like, we want you to get to this point where you completely lose your humanity. And when that happens, we will instantly replace you with someone who is just starting. It's like, what? It seems like Michael's like just getting to the fucking point that you want him at. Like,
and even if you go with that, it's like, but then you also had him make a baby. What's the point of baby? The whole point was to kill the last remaining member of your family. So why make another member of the family?
Well, you see, there is no bond like that between a child and a parent. I don't know. I'm pulling that out of my ass. I honestly don't know. That would be probably the only explanation that I could even somewhat surmise. It's like, nah,
I'm both your dad and your granduncle.
Your niece isn't enough of a connection. You need to have a child.
You need to have sex with your niece.
Who is an underage character. She's not...
But she's played by like a 24-year-old or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's supposed to be like 16, maybe?
Yeah, I think she's supposed to be like 15. But Danielle Harris, who was like 15 around the time that this movie was made, was going to be in this movie, but surprise, surprise, this one was made by the Weinsteins. And they were like...
This one and H2O and Resurrection.
Yeah. But they were like...
We need a woman.
Yeah, and there's like, I guess, some legal things going on, and I guess Danielle Harris, like, went through the process of getting emancipated so she could be in this movie, but then she read the script and she was just kind of like,
This looks like garbage and I'm a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, she's like, actually, I think I'm good. So then they ended up recasting her. And yeah. And of course, Weinstein was a total fucking prick during the making of this movie. Yeah. He, his typical stuff. He said he didn't want the Strode character to be the actress who was playing her. He's like, she was too skinny for the role. And it's just like, fuck you. Like, you piece of shit. But yeah, I guess him and Mustafa Akkad, like, really struggled to, like, come to an agreement on what the film should be, which is why there's the two cuts. The theatrical cut is like the Weinstein cut that has like more fucking like MTV movie editing with like a bunch of fucking like flashes, and there's more gore in that version because they reshot a lot of the kills with like more gore. He's like, it needs to be bloodier. It needs to be more boobs. So yeah, that's what that version is. And in that version, they also leave out the implication that Michael slept with his niece. Which is the best thing that movie does. But they, instead of doing that, they instead replace it with... It's like, where does this baby come from then? A lab. There's a lab with a bunch of babies. The theatrical version makes no sense. This version doesn't make much sense either, but it makes sense in its weird own little convoluted way that it sets up, I guess. Whereas, like, the theatrical version is just like, actually, we don't like that. We're just gonna scramble this. And it's like, they're just like, hopefully no one will notice. No one will notice. And I guess most people didn't, for the most part, aside from, people with brain cells who watched the movie and were like, this sucks. But I think Halloween 6 is the one that I see like the most like apologists for.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people that I'm like friends with being like, no, you guys don't get it. I'm like, I guess I don't.
Yeah, I don't get it either. And I like Halloween 4.
There's a couple scenes that I like laugh at. Like there's a scene where
the Paul Rudd stuff's good.
Yeah, and she looks up at Paul Rudd and he's in a full frame like window and he's just like looking down on her. I'm like, why is this window so big? Why is he just standing like this?
Yeah. No, there's some pretty funny stuff, like the, get me a doctor! Like shit like that, where he did not give a fuck about this movie. And I guess when filming the theatrical cut, he had to come back and do reshoots, but that was like post-Clueless. So it was just
he's like, I'm a millionaire. No, yeah. I was in Clueless, motherfucker.
But, yeah, fucking, So the movie basically gets to a point. Michael's got to kill this baby. Turns out that the old deaf woman next door, part of the cult, along with Dr. Wynn, who, for those of you who don't know who Dr. Wynn is, that scene in the original Halloween when Loomis is leaving Smith's Grove and he's like, basically like, you know, I gotta go back to Haddonfield. That's where Michael's going. And then he's got a different doctor who's like, how do you even know that? He's probably going nowhere. He doesn't even know how to drive. And he goes like, he was doing very well last night. That guy who he was talking, that's Dr. Wynn. He's in one scene in the original. And they thought it would be the smartest plot twist ever to have him be the mastermind. Because that line, someone taught him how to drive. It was Dr. Wynn. Dr. Wynn probably taught him how to drive. And he also told him to kill his sister.
There should have been flashbacks where he's like, okay, Mikey, now put the car into reverse.
It would have been great.
We can do our own cut of this movie where we just start putting in flashbacks. You're wearing that and I'll be like, I'm Dr. Wynn. I'll introduce every scene. I'm Dr. Wynn. Now, Mikey, I need you to put the car in reverse.
Yeah, you'll just be in the RS.
Don't run over that kid. Not yet. I'm in the car. I can't be seen with you.
Yeah. But
taking Mikey to like a baseball game. He's like, you got the ball.
That'd be a good sequel. That'd be better than what this was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Paul Rudd in this version is like, I read some books on
runes.
Celtic runes. Or I don't know how to pronounce the name of that fucking...
Celtic?
Celtic, yeah. Celtic runes. And he's like, yeah, so the movie ends with basically them getting cornered in a hallway. So they're like going to save the kid and the baby and the girl. So Paul Rudd, he's got them all cornered in a hallway. He's like, I don't know what to do. Wait, I got these runes in my pocket. And he puts them out on the floor in a circle, cuts his hand, puts some blood in. Michael walks straight into it and stops.
And he's like, I did it!
He can't move.
So then he leaves.
Yeah, and then they leave. And then they're like, Dr. Loomis, are you coming with us? And he's like, nah, I gotta stay behind and see to Michael, because you just literally left him standing there.
And you had seen Dr. Wynn go up and go, Michael!
Yeah. So then Dr. Loomis goes up to Michael and the runes. He's just laying down, and he takes the mask off, and it's Wynn. He's like, gotcha, bro. You're in charge of the cult now. And then he looks, and he's got the thorn on his hand. Yeah, Michael's now dressed like R.L. Stein.
Just walking through... Nightmare Zone.
And then Loomis is like, and the movie ends. And I don't know what they were fucking planning on doing from there, because Loomis was clearly on death's door.
He died, like, right
and, like, immediately after. Like, he wasn't available for the reshoots they did. And yeah, like, we forgot to mention, there's one line at the very beginning of the movie where it's like, I got some great plastic surgery done, so all my burn scars are gone. And it's just like...
Okay.
I mean, I get it. He was super old. I bet if they had tried to put prosthetics on his skin...
turned to dust.
It probably would have ripped his face off. The fucking, like, de-application of it. But, yeah, fucking... The theatrical cut. So they go into this lab, and there's a bunch of, like, baby tanks around. And, fucking Paul Rudd
starts eating the baby.
No, I wish.
It's like, I'm Michael.
Basically what happens is he gets, like, them out of there. Like, the kid and the girl and the baby. And then Michael, for no fucking reason, kills the room full of doctors that are, like, the cult members, but they aren't really thoroughly explained to be cult members in this version, so it's just like he goes into this room of these people who have been controlling him the whole movie and just kills them for no reason. He's just on a whim. It's just like, this movie needs more blood. Kills them all, and then Paul Rudd takes a pipe and beats Michael's face in, he starts oozing green all over the place. And then they're like, all right, he's dead, and they leave, and they're like, Loomis, come with us. And he's like, no, I gotta see what's going on. And then they cut to Michael's mask, which is just like sitting there, kind of like this is now. You can't see it. It's just sitting there. And then, but Michael is gone, and then they just overcut Loomis's scream from the other ending over it. And then you're just left to assume that Michael just took off his mask and went and, like, killed Loomis there in that version, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is happening at the end of that cut. But, yeah, so that's basically the big differences. That and they kill Jamie Lloyd really early on. Like, she never goes to the hospital. She dies against some farm equipment because they were just like, fuck this hospital plot. We don't need it. So.
Well, shit movie either way. Yeah,
it's fucking awful. Definitely the worst of the franchise. I would maybe... I think maybe the rewatchability's a tad higher than 5 for me because it's got Paul Rudd. And I really like Paul Rudd. But,
it's definitely the worst of the ones we've talked about so far.
In terms of, like, actuality, yeah, it's the worst. But, yeah. The Curse of Michael Myers. We should, like, do an episode where we interview someone who really likes this movie and go, why? Why do you like this movie?
Let me see what am I the people I follow? What are they
I'm sure they're probably just like, it's a movie that exists. What time does Halloween Kills start?
In 10 minutes, or we can see the one in an hour. We'll probably see the one in an hour.
Yeah.
Because we still got 3 more movies to go!
Yes.
Anyway, you'd give this movie a 2.
Yeah, no, it's bad. You would give it a 1.
No, I give it an 8. I give it a 2.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay.
I got a couple people on here that gave this movie a 7 out of 10. Oh, here's one that gave it an 8 out of 10. I love this film. I don't know why, and I am not sorry in the slightest. Good for you, my friend.
Well, at least they acknowledge that.
They do not know why.
Here, I know I've got some people I follow, because I follow a horror audience, so let me see. Oh, so many movies.
Yeah, this one's,
Alright. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. This is a 10 by Steven. The Curse of Michael Myers remains my favorite entry in the Halloween franchise. And if I'm being honest, I think it's the best one. This fell between 2 very distinct slasher eras and was butchered by the studio, yet still in its theatrical form is the darkest, most unique, and atmospheric sequel that the serial killer has ever appeared in. I don't agree with that, but Halloween 6 is also Paul Rudd's feature film debut, and the way he stepped in as Tommy Doyle to portray some 17 years of fear and distress amazes me with every viewing. It honestly feels like he wasn't trying. I love Paul Rudd, but it he's definitely playing it with a tone of like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know. Michael's alive. He's just kind of going off, which is fun to watch, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's good.
Yeah, Marianne Hagen as Kara Strode is my preferred final girl for this series. She really doesn't do anything, but okay. She jumps out a window in one scene for no reason. We forgot to talk about my favorite scene. She jumps out the window.
and then immediately just passes out.
Yeah, and then they hard cut to Loomis and Paul Rudd out there, and they're just like,
were we drugged?
I feel like I was drugged. We were drugged. And it's just like, wow, you guys just forgot to shoot a scene, didn't you? But is my preferred final girl for the series without a doubt. And with each brutal kill, it got better and better. Not nearly deserving of the hate it gets. This ends the Thorn trilogy with a bang. And a whole lot of cult action to keep supernatural horror fans happy.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, my friend.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably... Here, I'll read this one short one that is a 9. And it says, "Goodbye, October. I love you. And I'll be counting down the days until you come back." So clearly that's someone who watches it. Like, That's by Sunday Ravello, who is another person I follow on Letterboxd. So check out Steven.
Check out Steven. Just put in Steven.
I can't find...
Just put in Steven. It'll show up.
Here's his account. I don't know. I can't find his username. I'm just like, I don't know. He's got a picture of Paul Rudd, though. So, I mean, that's something. But, yeah. Steven. It's got a ghost emoji and a picture of Paul Rudd. It's like...
Stephen Thomas.
There we go. I mean, I kind of don't like that you took my name, pal, but, you know.
Yeah. Fuck you, Stephen Thomas.
Yeah. Halloween 6. Bad.
I'm gonna take a quick break.
Sounds good.
Before we talk about these last three. And we are back. Talking about Halloween.
H2O.
H2O. Why is it called... It's not called H2O. It's called Halloween H2O.
It's called Halloween 20 years later. It was like a trendy thing back then for like some horror movies to do stuff like that, just like abbreviate the title.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was just something that a lot of people saw and they were just like, H2O! And they just ran with it for the last 22 years.
Yeah, but no, look, it's the official title. Halloween H2O 20 years later.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's much worse.
Yeah.
Halloween 20 would have been fine.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the 20th, but it would have been fine.
I don't know.
H2O would have been fine.
Yeah. So I guess, 20th anniversary milestone.
They got Steve Miner to direct.
Yes.
Who did Friday the 13th 1 or 2 and 3, which, definitely helped. It made Jason like a character.
Yeah.
And then he also directed the movie House, which I know you like. I haven't seen that one, but
yeah. I don't know if I'd probably like it now because it's goofy and it's got puppets, but it's not like a fucking...
It's like a fun, dumb movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, Jamie Lee Curtis and Mustafa Akkad, both kind of in their own realms, were probably like, hey, it's been about 20 years. Let's make another one. A few years after the last one came out.
Well, let's make it good.
Yeah, let's
try.
Let's bring back, Jamie Lee Curtis, because she's interested in it. She wants to, ride this horror wave that Scream created. And John Carpenter and Deborah Hill were slated to be involved. But then John Carpenter's like, I'll do it. You gotta give me $10 million. And they were like, all right, Steve Miner, you've got the job. So, yeah, John Carpenter didn't do it. Neither did Deborah Hill, but I think it was for different reasons. But basically, Jamie Lee Curtis agreed to sign on to this movie under one condition. She gets to kill Michael. But Mustafa Akkad, when making this movie, he also had a condition. Michael can never die in any of these movies. Because they have to go on forever. So, they came
Does his child think the same thing? Or can they kill him in ends? Please, for the love of God.
I don't know what his kid's philosophy is.
Can Michael Myers please fucking die?
I mean, I'm sure if he likes money, it's probably close to the same philosophy as his father's. But, you never know. You never know. But, yeah, so they had to kind of come to this loophole where they have in their back pocket an explanation for as to how this isn't actually Michael who dies. But they, Jamie Lee Curtis is like, no, this is the end. And then the audience thinks it's the end. So they basically kind of met in the middle. And then Jamie Lee Curtis agreed to come back at the beginning of the next one, but only to die. And she came up with the circumstance. She's like, all right, well, she finds out that Michael had tricked her and it wasn't really him that she killed. And then she goes crazy and goes to a mental ward where she waits till the next Halloween when Michael tries to come and kill her, and he kills her. So that was like her stipulation for doing the next movie. So that's why the next movie begins like that, and then completely goes into a different fucking movie after that. But yeah, so yeah, this movie, I remember really liking this one, but I think it's really half-baked.
Yeah. There's some really cool parts in this movie, but
there are. But it really just, I feel like it dawdles, doesn't really spend its time on the right things or execute them all well enough. Like, Laurie Strode, she's like dealing with the trauma, and that stuff's mildly interesting, but they don't really do a whole lot with it.
That's my favorite shit in horror movies, like especially horror movies, like these ideas. I'm like, that is the perfect idea to go with. Like, yes, explore the trauma that you're going through, but they don't. There's a couple like cool scenes between her and her like son, but that's about
she's
it.
very like sheltered of him.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like him living a very public life.
Honestly, most of the trauma stuff they just do better in 2018.
Yeah, this movie is literally just a stepping stone to like stuff that they execute much better in that.
But 2018, they're like, okay, we're gonna make this direct sequel to 1, while H2O was like, this will be a sequel to 2, so we can keep their siblings, because that's smart.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like this film, in terms of like the slice of life department, doesn't really do it because you don't follow any. It's like you kind of bounce back and forth between
Laurie
Strode and her kid.
Yeah.
Who I think's name is Josh. Am I getting that mixed up with the actor?
Yeah, I think it's Josh Hartnett that plays the character.
I can't remember the kid's name. But yeah, like most of the movie, she's just kind of doing uninteresting stuff. She's like dating like the dean. Or not the dean, but like...
Isn't she the dean?
She's the dean. He's like an administrator or something. I honestly don't fucking remember.
That guy's in Pig.
Is he?
Yeah.
He must be old in that movie because he's kind of inching his way in that direction in this movie.
He's like 65. He's just kind of one of those older looking guys.
Yeah.
He's only like 45 in this movie.
Oh, okay.
No. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in this movie.
He is.
Right in the beginning.
Very brief scene. They bring back the nurse from the first two, which is like the catalyst for Michael finding out where his sister is, because he takes it from her records.
John is her kid's name.
Okay. So yeah, she has her kid, John, and he's like, I want to go to this like mountain thing, which also, huge missed opportunity. They completely clear out the fucking like college camp or the private school campus that they're at. And it's like, you could have just had Michael like going around and killing people the whole fucking movie, stealthing his way around, killing a bunch of fucking teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, typical slasher stuff, but I guess they wanted to be higher brow than that or something. Which is like, good luck.
Yeah.
You're better off just...
But they have LL Cool J, so...
Yeah.
He doesn't do it. It's really... Like, I like LL Cool J.
So
I'm like, he's fun. And then he just reads, like, pornography. He just reads erotica to his, like, partner. Yeah. And then he gets shot by the love interest, but then he's fine. And then, like, you look... He doesn't even have... He just has blood on him, but there's, like, no graze or bullet wound. I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, it's certainly strange, but... he's a welcome prize.
Also, they start doing this thing in this one and the next one where Michael Myers, like, is holding himself up with one arm and he lowers himself down. Like, why is he doing that?
Why
isn't he just behind the door?
They get really weird with kind of how Michael acts in this one. Like, there's a point where, like, Laurie Strode's, like, crawling under tables and it's just, like, he's, like, standing on top and it's just, like, This doesn't seem like something he'd do. I feel like he'd just walk and then, like, look under the table.
Also, what was he doing for 20 years?
Nothing.
Nothing?
They don't explain it. They're just like, now's the time.
He's like, oh, yeah, it's 20 years.
And, like...
And I guess part of it is, like, oh, it's I get not for him, but it's a thing for her because her son just turned 17, so now he's the same age that she was when she was attacked. But that doesn't mean anything to us as an audience.
Yeah, and they don't really play with it because he doesn't really
do anything.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't really
He's like a dick to his mom, but it's like he's a 17-year-old. I'm fine. I know. I was reading some reviews, and there are some people on Letterboxd like, he's so mean. I'm like, if you talk to a 17-year-old, they're dickheads.
And honestly, I think he kind of has. He's kind of justified.
Yeah, like maybe.
Obviously, we're only getting a small window, but if he's not allowed to go on a
school trip at the school that she deans.
Yeah, it's clearly it's not for rational reasons. Yeah. We've got a family dinner tomorrow or something. It's clearly just because she's
murderer, my children,
afraid of somebody who, for all intents and purposes, has been dead for 20 years. So it's just but
it's just now there are certain ideas in this movie that I think work, but this movie's too short to explore those things, but also sometimes boring. So
it feels right when it gets going, it just stops.
It's is this the shortest one? This is at 80 minutes.
Yeah, it might be. But
Michelle Williams is in this movie.
She is.
Yeah. There are parts I like about this movie. I like the climax fine. I do like that she kills Michael. I
like that whole from the moment where they're yeah, he's dead, don't worry about it, and she steals the ambulance. From that point on, the movie's a 10 out of 10 in terms of Halloween
as a climax, as an ending to Halloween as a franchise. I'm perfect. This is good. And it's just why?
Too bad the first 90% doesn't really nail that same effect.
Yeah. Some of the tone hits it. Some of the ideas hit it. It's just inconsistent in hitting those same tones. I do like the soundtrack in this movie, though.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
They cut a lot of it, because I guess they didn't like the way a lot of it turned out. They felt it didn't mesh with the movie very well. So they only ended up keeping, very little of the original soundtrack.
Disappointing, because I like the soundtrack much more than any other Halloween movie besides 1 and 18. Because everything else just is pretty bad. It's not.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I keep looking over at this mask and thinking there's a rat on my table.
I know, that hair is really atrocious. It's just
They probably just used that for Halloween 6 or 5.
No, this is honestly better than the mask that they used for both of those movies.
Honestly, though, we could make that work. We could make our own Halloween movie.
Yeah, this honestly is a pretty good replica of the mask from the first.
We just gotta make it look a little shittier.
Well, yeah. Like I said, I'll put it under my bed and I'll just chain smoke for the next couple of years, and it'll look like it did in Halloween 2.
Perfect.
Keep trying to put it on that way instead of this one.
It's 20 years later. I'm your brother.
I'm your brother. I'm Kermit the Frog.
What if he finally talked in those movies and that's what he sounded like? Laurie.
I would like him to say something at this point. I mean, because they keep going it just.
Yeah, they lightly allude to it, but it's a lie in 18. But yeah, H2O could have been better.
Okay. Yeah, could have been worse.
Yeah,
could have been much worse, but it could have been much better. It's just kind of watchable, which was great reprieve after the shit I just watched.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, I just would have liked the characters to be able to do something. I feel like none of the characters really did anything. Some of the effects were cool. I like the lady he kills in, the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
The, leg coming off. That looked pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
There were some good effects there. And then they just walk by the guy and he's just oh.
Yeah. The mask in this movie. So, they had 2 masks. Because they started production with one mask that looked really fucking awful. Like, really bad. And then they changed the mask like partway through production. But they kept a lot of those scenes in the movie. And that's why there's the one famous like CGI mask shot. Because there was like a test shot to see like maybe we can like CGI the old mask to look like the new mask, and then it didn't turn out very well. They left it in the movie, so you get a nice little sneak peek at what that could have been like. But yeah, it's not good. I'm not really fond of either of the masks in this movie.
Yeah, but one's worse.
One is definitely worse than the other one. But yeah, I guess you would give this a 5.
I would. Would you also?
Mm-hmm. Halloween Resurrection. Okay.
This is rough.
This one's one of my favorites.
Is it?
I love this
Okay. I was like, I bet Thomas is going to say he likes this one. And I get it. Like, this is at least one that I can kind of get. I just couldn't get into it. But I'm like, no, I want to. Resurrection was the one I'm like, I want to like this movie. Buster Rhymes kicks Michael out a window.
Buster Rhymes in this movie. And not even just him, like, all the characters are fucking stupid. It's like a dumb fucking, like, sex comedy 2000s cast.
Yeah. And that's why you like it?
Yeah, I've got kind of an affinity for those movies. I grew up watching them. But, it's just dumb. It's dumb. It knows it's dumb. Fucking, you've got the fucking iconic monologue at the end where Buster Rhymes is like, he's a fucking shark.
Yeah.
He's swimming. It's just like,
what? Yeah.
It's like, I get it, but what?
What the fuck are you on about?
Fucking, I genuinely like the way Michael's mask looks in the movie. It's not my favorite interpretation of the mask, but I think it's better than pretty much all the sequels.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I like the concept that it's like a web reality, kind of like multiple camera thing, and like she's got somebody like on the outside, the guy in the chair who's like giving her advice and being like, no, don't go that way. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fun.
Yeah. I want to think it's fun, but I don't know. I just couldn't care about any of the characters besides Mr. Rhymes.
Oh.
And
yeah.
But even like to the point where I wasn't entertained by really any of the kills. I like the part where the guy tries to knife fight Michael and he has to deny. He's like, "What the fuck, you want some of me?" But like it's just so, and the opening's so fucking disconnected to the point like it doesn't even need to be there. Like there's why didn't they just like be like, you don't have to come back for this one. We'll bring you back for the next one.
Because I think she knew that would be the case. She's like, no, I don't. This is it. This is
I need you to come kill me now.
Like, this is my final stand. Unless... I found, like, a clip, like, an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis from, like, 10 years ago or something, where she's like, I'm never doing another one. Unless they come up with something real good. And...
I'm glad she liked the script for the new one, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There's really not a lot to say about this one. Tyra Banks is in it. She gets killed off screen.
Yeah.
That's
not a fan of that
opportunity.
One. Yeah.
I bet she was like, there's no way you guys are filming a gory death with me.
Yeah. I'll be dead, but that's it.
Buster Rhymes fucking watches a kung fu movie and learns kung fu by osmosis.
Yeah.
I love it. Buster Rhymes.
1v1s.
He should come back for Halloween Kills.
No, he should be in Ends. Laurie Strode should die in Kills, and he should be the main character.
Honestly, I think she's going to, because she's hardly in any of the trailers. But
and then it'll be about her granddaughter.
Ma! But, yeah. Halloween Resurrection. It's dumb. It's definitely, like, riding the Scream wave. But, like... almost 10 years too late. But, you know.
Riding the Scream 2 wave.
Yeah. I like the fucking Pulp Fiction costumes make me laugh. The guy literally shows up in just like an afro and a fucking goatee, and it's like, oof.
And then the whole time he's just like, I'm going to save her.
Yeah, it's just like,
oh, it's just like there are parts I like. Maybe if I watch this by itself, like maybe just all this Halloween fatigue, I'm just like,
yeah,
it's just another fucking Halloween movie, but it looks like shit too.
I bet this would be Pierre's favorite Halloween movie.
He watched this one.
Oh, he did? What did he think?
Didn't like it.
Oh, well, I'm sure he probably wouldn't like most of the other ones. Anyway.
He watched.
You said he watched 6, right?
He watched 6 with me, and he came in like in the last 30 minutes of H2O. And then I was watching Resurrection. And then he watched Halloween 2018 with me as well. And he was like actually watching that one. So maybe he liked that one.
Yeah, I could see him liking that one.
That one's fun. That one has like some fun dialogue as well without just being like stupid and goofy, I guess. No, I like parts of this movie in general. I think it's like really bad, but I wouldn't say I like the movie. It's not the worst. It's not as bad as 6, but... And I really like... I kind of just wish Busta Rhymes was like the main character and he was like there all the time.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Sure.
And I kind of wish instead of the like love interest... What's his name? Derek or something like that?
He goes...
Declan?
He goes by Deckard, which I think is meant to be like a Blade Runner thing.
Instead of him, I wish it was Busta Rhymes, like, off-site, being like, oh god, that's the real Michael! And he's like, guys, you gotta get out of here!
Oh, I thought you were gonna say he was secretly Deckard the whole time.
I think that he could have just been that. And then he's like, no, I gotta just go save myself. And that's when he, like...
Even funnier, he wasn't Deckard the whole time, but, like, the person Deckard was talking to. That'd be a funny twist, because he's like, you gotta watch my show tonight. And his friends are like, oh, dude, you're being catfished. And he's like, no, you guys don't get it.
And like, is that Busta Rhymes? I also wish he had played Busta Rhymes in the movie.
Yeah,
it's just Busta Rhymes.
Him and Tyra Banks play, like, TV producers or something.
For Dangertainment.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the climax, though. I like him just fighting Michael.
Oh, yeah. And the scene where he turns around and is like, what the fuck are you doing? You're gonna ruin it. And, like, Michael's just like, oh, shit.
And he just walks like, oh, that's all you need to face Michael. You just have to have a strong voice.
Yeah. You gotta out-intimidate him.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Busta Rhymes made this movie watchable for me, I guess. And maybe I'll revisit it in the future and like it, but this time I really did not.
Yeah. You would give this one a 2.
I think after talking more, I think I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
You would give this a 9.
No.
I'm just kidding. You would give this a 5? 4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
4 is my score for, like...
Good movies bad, but you like, right? Something
yeah,
like
typically. There's some ones that aren't that slip into a 4 rating, too.
You should just give it an 8 if you like it.
No.
You like it.
Yeah, but this movie's not an 8.
Why not? You like it.
Yeah, so... I mean, I could fucking make half a thing of Jell-O and I just mix it up.
Remember how bad the Blob was?
Yeah.
Fuck. No.
Make an gelled thing of Jell-O and eat it and be like, yeah, I like it, but I acknowledge it's not a good Jell-O.
I had flaming hot Cheetos mac and cheese today. It was just mac and cheese.
Sounds gross.
That they sell at the store.
Mm-hmm.
That was...
Had hot Cheeto like flavoring.
Yeah, it was. I like that flavor. It was. My tummy hurts now.
Yeah, little Zan over here.
I eat a lot of hot things. So. Anyway, let's talk about Halloween 2018. I don't know what that song was.
I don't know. It was something though. This is the worst Halloween movie.
You agree? Do you believe?
Do I agree with the statement I just made myself? Yes.
Yeah. Do you?
No.
Right.
Halloween 2018 is probably my second favorite Halloween movie.
think I would probably put it in my third. It's my second favorite Michael Myers Halloween movie, I guess.
Fair.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in this movie that I like, and there's a few things I dislike as well.
Yeah.
Basic premise is Laurie Strode's severely has like severe paranoia. Been same as like H2O, but this time she's just been preparing for him to come out for 40 years.
Yeah.
She has like a bunker. She has 100 guns. She has traps in her house. And she's so traumatized by this event that she has completely isolated herself from like her family, just from like being her.
She had her kid taken away from her when the kid was like 12.
Yeah, when the kid was 12.
She was like basically like doomsday prepping her.
Yeah. She was like, I learned to shoot when I was 8. And then Michael, same thing as like, they go on a bus and he like breaks him out. Or he breaks out.
Yeah.
He kills people. He just kind of just starts killing random people.
Yeah, kills people. Then he kind of... It's revealed that, like... I forget the name of the character, but they call him a new Loomis in the movie. In the most meta and gross line of the
Saiton, I think his name was?
Yeah.
Dr.
Well, I'm just going to call him Doc. So the Doc fucking takes him... He's like, we need to get him to Laurie Strode because I'm super interested to see what he'd do. So they kind of have to force... Because they're not brother and sister in this continuity, but they're like, we need to see them clash.
Yeah.
So they needed an organic way to get him to the house, which I think it probably would have been more interesting if it was just like they're hunting him down in the streets or something.
Yeah.
But I guess they wanted to save that for the next one.
Or I guess the third one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, I have no idea what the fuck Halloween Kills is going to even be about.
Me neither. Hopefully, a part of me is worried that it's going to be like Hobbit syndrome, where I'm going to like go and like watch the second movie and be like, they definitely could have ended it there, and there's going to be a whole other movie.
Yeah.
But hopefully I don't feel that way. Hopefully it entices me just as much as the last one
Hopefully
did.
it's just a character study of Michael as a person.
But yeah, so Halloween 18 has got a lot of good stuff. So I guess let's just talk randomly about some of the stuff that we like or dislike. Let's start with the dislike, because I feel like that's going to be a shorter pile. I dislike how unnatural the Doc feels in this one, and how like they have to like kind of artificially get him over to like the Lloyd residence or the Strode residence.
Yeah, I really didn't like that. I didn't like that character. Just I thought that was really pasted on. I'm like, there's no need for this. Like they have enough other characters, enough things going on. And I think that in general, just having Michael be like, Laurie Strode's the only person that like evaded him, and like she's the reason that he's been locked away for so long. I think that would have been a reason enough for him to like find her. I don't think that he needed to, that's...
Yeah. I don't like the podcasters. I think that they could have been pulled off pretty well, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like the movie didn't really understand podcasting, and not just from like our experience, because I realized that there are podcasts outside of just like two dudes talking about movies in a room. But even like some of the more like investigative podcasts, I really don't feel like it's a lot of like getting out and like, oh, we're gonna like do it documentary style, and I'm gonna narrate it like it's a fucking novel.
I mean, I've definitely heard podcasts like that, but in general, I'm just like, why are they not just investigative journalists? Like,
yeah,
because that's what they say originally, and they're like, but we have a podcast.
And then I feel like, despite my dislike of those characters, I feel like the main like they could have been like the Loomis role of this movie. And they kind of just wasted the potential by just straight up killing them.
Yeah. Which I thought their deaths were pretty, like, fun, like, interesting.
Yeah, I like the scene. It's kind of a throwback to that H2O scene where he steals the keys from the lady in the bathroom. But,
Oh yeah, that happens in H2O. He just doesn't kill them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Artificially generated tension because there's a little girl in that scene. And they're like, oh my god, is he going to kill her?
But in this one, he just does murder a child.
He murders a child, but he doesn't murder a baby, so we know he's still got that line.
I like to, and I was watching this with Joe and Pierre, and I'm like, I bet he leaned down and he was like, I'll be back in 5 years.
Next Halloween,
as soon as you learn to walk, I'm coming with my Glock.
Jeez. Michael using a gun.
He's gonna do it. That's what Halloween kills us. He finds out how to use a gun.
Oh, no.
Wynn shows up. And he's like, I taught Michael how to use a gun.
They're like, holy shit, what happened to your head? And he's like, it's not important. Oh, Wynn.
Yeah.
Not whatever the fuck this doc's name was.
Sawton? Something like that.
He's like, I taught Michael how to drive.
But yeah.
So, other things I dislike outside of that. I think the movie handles the humor pretty well for the most part. There's maybe an example here and there where it gets a little where it's like, alright, this feels a little forced.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's pretty good. My only other big complaint about this movie is it's a lot of setup. And I don't necessarily have anything wrong with that, but I think even when you're setting things up, you should pay them off to a certain degree, a certain level of payoff. But we don't really get that. The boyfriend character in this movie, he's revealed to be a dick, and you can tell that they're saving the rest of his arc for the next movie, but he just disappears halfway through the film, and you're just like, well, that's really obvious.
He kissed someone. No.
It's really obvious that you're saving it for the next movie. And yeah, I also thought that, his little, cheating scene was just, felt kind of random. I felt like they could have, built up to it more.
Yeah.
With the fucking, friend character, they did a good job at building up that he's just, interested in the girl.
Yeah.
But I felt they definitely could have alluded to him being a bigger scumbag. But maybe they didn't want to allude to it too much because he's going to come back and do something heroic in this one, maybe? Yeah. Probably, because they're probably going to follow I cheated on you, but I'm now going to, risk my life to save you kind of thing or something. I don't fucking know.
Like in Stranger Things. That kind of happens in Stranger Things.
Yeah. Or in Halloween 4. It happens in Halloween 4.
Don't remember.
It's
I've watched too much Halloween.
Rachel's boyfriend is sleeping with the sheriff's daughter in that one, and she finds out while trick or treat.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Well, you canceled our date 2 hours before it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, so that means I can fuck whoever I want.
And then he's the one who gets stabbed with the shotgun.
Yes.
He's like, get out of here, go, and then he dies. But yeah. I don't know. This guy just throws a phone in Jell-O. I like that scene, though, because it's just her reaction's pretty much the natural. She's just what the fuck? What is happening? Because it does just kind of come out of nowhere. So it's just well, I don't know. I feel like they could have built up to it a little bit more interesting because he's clearly kind of off-put by her family at that family dinner scene. But they could have, I don't know. I still feel like they could have done a better job of building it up.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know.
I think there's some setup that doesn't get paid off in this movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like all the characters, and I don't think the trauma is explored quite as much as I want it to be. I think it's just horror movies don't want to have a long run time, which is fine, but it's just Halloween, the original Halloween, there's so much small character moments, and it's just a slice of life that we don't really get in this because it's just let's talk about trauma, but they don't talk about trauma enough for my liking to do that. So it's just,
this one's also got a lot of characters in it.
Yeah, so it could have used another half an hour to explore some of those characters, and I feel like they don't explore the what is her name? The daughter, not the granddaughter. Jude Greer's character, Allison. They don't explore her husband.
No.
Her.
I don't. I can't remember.
Oh, Allison's the granddaughter.
Yes. Yeah, I honestly don't remember Judy Greer's character.
Karen. That's right.
Karen.
Yeah.
Karen.
Because her gun has the KS on it.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, yeah. When she goes to grab her gun, it has like a lightning bolt and a KS carved into the one. She's like, that's it. I do like, most of the climax is pretty cool. I like it. I do really like where he's like, Mom, I can't. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
And then she's like, gotcha. I was like, yes.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good.
And I like there was like, cool, we have these weird spikes. It was like a big dumb scene, like, oh, we're going to light the whole house on fire.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's like, why didn't you just shoot him a bunch more first or something? But it's just like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like this film, it seems like there are parts of it where it's like, we kind of want to... It's like it has a hard time deciding whether it wants to stick closer to like the tone of the original or like an enhanced version of like the tone of like something like 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it manages to do a pretty good job, but there are definitely some points where it's like kind of struggling to find its footing, it feels like.
Yeah. That's the main thing I'm hoping for Kills. Like, even if it's not a great movie, I want it to find like its own like voice that ties this like trilogy coming out together.
I think this one does a pretty good job at like forming its own voice by the end of it, but like...
I'm more hoping that it keeps that voice.
Yeah.
Because that's something that the Halloween sequels really struggle with. Like, it's just they're just all over the place. And they don't have a voice.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like they complement each other very well.
Especially the Thorn trilogy.
Yeah, each one of those is just like, this is getting weirder every time. But this movie, I don't know. I like it. It's got a lot of things about it. Like, I like that they had the gall to kill that kid.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Small stuff like that I feel like really adds to the movie.
And it's definitely like, without being, this movie's pretty gory and it has like but without like, just having like a child die, like raises the stakes. Like, because in a lot of like 80s horror movies, they're not going to kill kids.
Yeah.
Should, but.
Yeah. Unless it's like some outlier, but those weren't very common. Oh, but yeah. So Halloween 18, it's good. It's a good one. I like a lot of the human characters. Like, I like the babysitter and her boyfriend, and I feel like they do a really good job at making all the characters feel like organic, and they definitely feel like they lean on the comedic side, but like I feel like it's nice. It's like,
oh yeah, Julian just kind of
far.
Disappears. I wonder if he's gonna show back because the kid he just like runs out and you don't see him like when the police are there. I'm like, he just ran to Nebraska or something. He just kept running.
He's just like, I'm getting the fuck out of this town before
that I think the humor hit really well with those scenes. I'm like, this is fun. And this is I've heard kids interact like this. I'm like, that's fine.
No, I thought that kid was hilarious. And well, like, I didn't think his scene was like ill-fitted at all.
Yeah.
The cops, like, in the car, like, talking about their lunch. That
you didn't like that? I thought Pierre really liked that scene. I thought that scene was fine.
I was just like,
That actually reminded me of something that, like, I'm like, one of these cops should be Jim Cummings. He could pull this off.
He could. That man could pull pretty much anything off.
That man could pull off my clothing. But yeah, I think this movie is good.
Yeah. You would give it a 7. 6.
Yeah. You would give it a 7. Okay. Yeah.
We did it. We covered 9 Halloween movies.
9 fucking Halloween movies.
And one day we might cover the Rob Zombie ones. Maybe. Oh no, what's that fucking face?
Is it my pick?
It is.
Alright, so today...
I am not watching the unrated cut, though. Fuck you.
What's the difference? Is it just really gross, or is it just longer?
In the unrated cut, the way Michael escapes from Smith's Grove is differently. In the theatrical cut, he's being, like, walked to, like, a therapy meeting, and he just, like, kind of, like, gets out or whatever. But in the unrated director's cut, a couple very vile fucking, custodians who work at the mental facility he's at decide to bring in a different patient from a different room and rape her in Michael's room. And then he kills all three of them and escapes. And it's just like, wow, that's gratuitous and not great. So don't watch that cut of the film.
I don't know if I actually want to watch these movies. I was thinking about it. No, we're not. I can't do it. We're going to watch The Invisible Man.
Okay. I was like, good.
We'll do Invisible Man from 1933. We'll do Invisible Man from 2019.
Yeah.
And then...
Hollow Man?
Yeah, we'll do Hollow Man. Cool. Haven't seen Hollow Man.
I remember liking Hollow Man.
It's got Kevin Bacon in it. And Thanos!
Yes.
But yeah, we did it.
Josh Brolin.
I don't know what the... next year we're going to be like, oh, let's cover all the Hellraiser movies.
Nah.
I was like...
Child's Play. No, I'm just kidding. Well,
Puppet Master!
God.
Evil Ball!
I'm trying to think of what would be lower.
Than Evil Ball?
Yeah. I don't think it goes any lower in terms of long-running franchise. But, oh well, I don't know. We'll think of something for next year.
Yeah. But we still got 2 more weeks of this year.
2 more
Let's
weeks.
fucking go. Yo. Also, if you haven't already watched it, we have a review for the new Halloween Kills up right now.
We haven't filmed it yet.
We haven't filmed it, but we're about to go watch it, and then I'm going to edit it probably tonight, so it'll be out before this podcast is out. So go watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then tune in next time where we will talk about an invisible fellow.
Oh.
Invisible kid, never see what he did.